It wasn't hard to make sure that the photograph on his ID badge was flecked with shore mud, and Ambler knew that people took their cues from tone, from voice, from manner, rather than from documents. After a few minutes, Ambler joined the paramedic and the guard on a bench behind the helm. The paramedic, late 20s, red-splotched cheeks, curly black hair, still seemed offended by Ambler's presence. Finally, he turned to Ambler and said, "They didn't say anything about the body being accompanied. You realize the guy's dead, right?" A southern accent, the speaker someone bored and irritable, probably resentful of having been sent to retrieve a patient who was already dead. "Is he?" Ambler stifled a yawn, or pretended to. "Christ, would he let it go already?" "Damn right he is. I checked myself, so it ain't like he's gonna escape, you know." Ambler remembered the officious air of the man who had worn his badge. That was the tone to take. Until they got a notarized certificate, your say-so ain't shit to them. Nobody at Parish has that authority, so the rules are the rules. Such bullshit. "Quit busting his balls, Olson," the guardsman said. It was not solidarity, it was sport, but that was not all it was. Ambler could tell that the two did not know each other well and were not comfortable around each other. Probably it was the classic problem of unresolved authority. The paramedic wanted to act like he was in charge, but it was the guardsman who carried the service weapon. Ambler gave the guardsman a friendly glance. He was burly in his mid-20s, with a haircut that came from a military barber. He looked to be an ex-Army Ranger. Certainly his hip-holstered HK P7 pistol, compact and deadly, was a piece long favored by the Rangers. He was the only armed man on the boat, but Ambler could tell he was no slouch. "Whatever," the paramedic said after a pause, but he wasn't deferring to the guardsman. He was saying, "What's your problem?" As the three resumed in uncompanionable silence, Ambler allowed himself to feel a tincture of relief. The boat had gone only a few miles from Parish Island when the pilot, wearing headphones, gesticulated to get the attention of the others and pressed the lever that brought the radio on the cabin speaker. "This is a 505 from Parish Island." The radio dispatcher's voice sounded agitated. "We have an escaped inmate situation. Repeat, an escaped inmate situation." Ambler felt his stomach clutch. He had to act, had to use the crisis. He jumped to his feet. "Christ on a raft," he grunted. The speaker crackled again with the dispatcher's voice. "Cruiser 12-647-M, the inmate may have stowed himself on your vessel. Please confirm or disconfirm immediately. Holding." The guardsman gave Ambler a hard look. A thought was beginning to form. Ambler would have to get ahead of it, redirect it. "Shit," Ambler said. "I guess now you know why I'm here." A beat. "Think it's an accident? They've insisted on putting security reps on every vehicle leaving the island. We've been hearing static about some kind of escape attempt for the past 24 hours. "Could have told us," the guardsman said sullenly. "Not the kind of gossip the facility's looking to spread," Ambler said. "Gonna check that body right now." He scrambled to the rear below-deck berth. Inside, to the left, was a narrow tool chest recessed into the cargo area of the inner hull. There were a few oily rags on the floor. On a platform of steel checker plate, the body was still bound to the stretcher with Velcro straps. It looked bloated, perhaps 250 pounds, and the gray pallor of death was unmistakable. Now what? He'd have to work fast before the others decided to follow him. 20 seconds later, he raced back to the cabin. "You," Ambler said accusingly, thrusting his forefinger at the paramedic. "You said the patient was dead. What kind of bullshit was that? I just felt the guy's neck, and guess what? He had a pulse same as you and me." "You don't know what you're talking about," the paramedic said indignantly. "It's a damn corpse down there." Ambler was still breathing hard. A corpse with a pulse rate of 70? I don't think so. The guardsman's head swiveled, and Ambler could tell he was thinking, "This guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about." Ambler had a momentary advantage. He had to press it. "Are you part of it?" Ambler demanded, fixing the paramedic with an accusatory glare. "You in on it?" "The hell are you saying?" the paramedic replied, his splotchy cheeks reddening further. The way the guardsman was looking at him riled him even more, and the effect was to make him sound defensive and secure. The paramedic turned to the guardsman. "Becker, you can't be taking this guy seriously. I know how to take a pulse, and that's a damn stiff we got on the stretcher." "Show us," Ambler said grimly, leading the way back to the berth. The pronoun us was a powerful one, he knew. Implicitly, it drew a line between the man he was accusing and the rest of them. Ambler needed to keep everyone off balance, needed to foment dissension and suspicion, otherwise the suspicion would gravitate toward him. He glanced back and saw that the guardsman was bringing up the rear with his pistol out of its holster. The three men stepped around the transom platforms and proceeded to the rear berth. The medic swung open the door to it and then said in a stunned voice, "What the hell?" The two others peered inside. The stretcher lay askew, its Velcro straps undone. The body was gone. "You lying sack of shit!" Ambler exploded. "I don't understand," the paramedic said, his voice unsteady. "Well, I think the rest of us do," Ambler said in a freezing voice. The subtle sway of syntax, the more he used the first person plural, the greater his authority. He glanced at the tool closet door, hoping nobody would notice how the slide latch was bulging with the strain of keeping the door shut. "You're telling me a corpse walked itself out of here?" the buzz-cut guardsman demanded, turning toward the curly-haired southerner. The guardsman gripped his pistol firmly. "Probably just slipped over the side and went for a nice swim," Ambler sneered. "Push your scenario. Prevent them from thinking of alternate ones." "We'd never have heard, and in this fog we'd never have seen. 3 miles to shore, at this point not too strenuous if you keep your blood flowing. Typical corpse behavior, right?" "This is crazy," the paramedic protested. "I had nothing to do with it. You gotta believe me." The form of denial was automatic, but it effectively confirmed the crucial element of the allegation, that the man on the gurney was the escapee. "Guess we know why he was so pissed off they made me tag along," Ambler said to the guardsman, just loudly enough to be heard over the engines. "Listen, you better call this in ASAP. I'll keep a watch on the suspect." The guardsman looked confused, and Ambler could read the conflicting impulses on his face. Now Ambler leaned over and spoke confidingly into the guardsman's ear. "I know you had nothing to do with it," he said. "My report's going to make that real clear, so you got nothing to worry about." The message relayed was not to be found in the content of the words. Ambler was perfectly aware he wasn't addressing the guardsman's concern. It hadn't yet occurred to the man that anyone might suspect him of being involved in an escape from a maximum security facility. But in giving assurance on the matter and speaking of his report, Ambler was subtly establishing his authority. The man in the dove-gray tunic now represented officialdom, procedure, the discipline of command. "Understood," the guardsman said, and he turned to Ambler for reassurance. "Give me your pistol and I'll keep an eye on this joker," Ambler said, his voice level. "But you need to radio this in right now." "Will do," the guard said. Ambler could tell that he was feeling a pang of unease, even as events, bewildering and unaccustomed events, overrode his normal caution. Before handing the fully loaded Heckler & Koch P7 to the man in the gray tunic, he hesitated for a moment, but only for a moment.